Rumors have it in good old Portlandia, where, by the way, did you see this, Jake? I don't know if you saw it or not. I'm sure you did. In Portland,
Yeah.
it's going to be 109 degrees.
Good luck.
In Portland, Oregon. Like, when has it ever been 109 degrees in Portland, Oregon?
Yeah.
Well, apparently right now. It is going to be 109 degrees in Portland, and it's only going to get hotter if the Portland Trailblazers trade Damian Lillard to the Utah Jazz or somebody else. And
I see what you did there.
See what I did?
Yeah,
like
that was a real professional transition and stuff.
And,
Yeah, it all FPF rates and stuff. It's great.
Don't talk about F and the P. Anyway, the point is, listen to me. The Portland Trailblazers are rumored to be on the outs with Damian Lillard, or more to the point, Damian Lillard's on the outs with the Portland Trailblazers. It is said that Damien and his camp have a significant sense of urgency to win right now, as he is about to turn 31 in July, and another season of disappointment has come and gone. And there are sources across the NBA saying that Damian Lillard's the reason Terry Stotts was fired by the Portland Trailblazers. Jake, are the Blazers trading Damian Lillard?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a situation where, no, I don't think they want to trade him, but this is the classic disgruntled superstar is tired of losing situation, and I think in the NBA, we've seen it time and time again where players decide where they're going to play. That's how the NBA works. So really, the way we should be asking this question is Damian Lillard going to leave the Blazers? And I think for the longest time, the answer to that question was no. Mainly because he was really happy with his life situation and how things were kind of panning out off the court. But I also think that, when you're a player of his stature, not winning a championship is probably not acceptable. You got to at least win one. I don't see Dame being a guy that wins like 4 or 5, certainly, but I think he definitely wants to win one. And that's why I think these rumors are coming out. He's turning 31. It's that time in his career where you got to get it going. And I think he has some doubts that he can do that with the Blazers. That said, I think when you give your star player the kind of control that they're giving him, which is why, obviously, as you were just saying, Terry Stotts got fired, I think that really helps the situation. So we'll see what direction they go, in terms of roster construction and who they decide to go with and all of that. But at the end of the day, I don't think we can rule out Damian Lillard playing for somebody else because he wants to win. So the question really has turned into, on the rumor mill, hey, the Jazz are somebody that would try to trade for Damian Lillard. So that's where all of this is coming from. And again, it's the classic sources, and we don't exactly have a ton of evidence. But when there's smoke, a lot of times there's fire, and I feel like this is setting up for a big sort of conclusion. Because if he stays, let's say he stays like 1 or 2 more years and then loses again, he's definitely out. Like at that point, is there any doubt that he's leaving Portland? I don't think there would be any doubt. So yeah, I think that they are. I think that Damian Lillard is actively looking for the correct situation, whether that's in Portland or somewhere else.
Well, and I don't know how you blame the guy. I mean, he is, in my opinion, arguably the best closer in the NBA. And when I say closer, there's nobody else I'm giving the ball to. I respect the hell out of Damian Lillard's game. When the game's on the line, get out of the way and give him the ball. Did you watch the Denver series with Portland? I did. And I saw him close and close and close, and nobody else on his team contributed. The supporting cast is the problem in Portland. And with all due respect to CJ McCallum in the podcast and the outfits and stuff, it's time to start winning games. And if CJ can't be a running mate to Dame, what choice does Damian Lillard have? His legacy as a baller is on the line. And in my opinion, when you're at the top of your game as Damian Lillard is, as Steph Curry is, as Kevin Durant is, as all the best players in the league are right now, you have to take advantage of that and leverage it for a championship. Damian Lillard tries to get guys involved, but there's no guy to get involved when the game's on the line. He takes on doubles. He shoots from Africa or Jamaica or the transcontinental divide line. Wherever it is, he shoots and it goes in. And the guy is an unbelievable closer. And Damian Lillard, by the way, is the guy you want on your team. He is, by all accounts, a good teammate. He is a fantastic citizen. He cares about his community. He can rap his ass off. He's got a great shoe, probably the only shoe I really care about with Adidas. No offense, Don. The only shoe I really care about outside of the Harden Volume 1, which they don't make anymore unless you're James Harden and you're playing in the Eastern Conference semis.
Yeah.
And then he rolls out with it in a beautiful gray colorway. Anyway, the point is, Dame Lillard belongs on a winning team. And if Portland can't put that together, Jake, I say you trade him. And the bigger question is, well, he went to Weber State, so of course he is going to be a Utah Jazz man, right?
Yeah, I just don't know what a Damian Lillard trade looks like if you're the Utah Jazz. I think that, again, it doesn't, to me, it just logically doesn't make sense that you would trade, you would put a package together that includes Don and like picks and like lower end players.
Stop.
That seems dumb to me. That doesn't seem that you just wouldn't do that if you're the Utah Jazz. So, if this were to happen, the setup to me, the question really is, what is Portland going to require? Because they're going to require a lot. So it's like, all right, we're going to have to trade. You're going to have to trade somebody you don't want to. So whether that's, Clarkson or Bogdanovic, or, you're going to have to trade two players you probably don't want to trade to get Dame. And I think that's, you just have to, you're either going to accept that price or you're not. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it's worth it. The question is obviously going to get brought up. Okay, well, can they even play together? Is it even worth having the conversation? And to me, it's like, yeah, if you're the Utah Jazz, you're telling me if you were able to trade for Damian Lillard, you're not going to figure it out. You're not gonna do what Brooklyn did and figure out how to play all these guys at the same time. Of course you are. So to me, it's just a matter of figuring out what Portland's price is and where you can negotiate with them.
Well, and I also think one of the things you have to consider is how do you pair Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell together? Hey, great problem to have, right? Try to figure that thing out. Great problem to have. What I would say is, yeah, you would figure it out. But here's the problem. You have nothing of value to offer Portland. You can't offer him cash. You can't offer him picks. And what really on this Utah Jazz roster would the Portland Trailblazers be excited about? Well, Trent Forrest is a Hall of Famer already. Okay, I'll stop. The point is, there's not a whole lot on this roster that the Portland Trailblazers are trying to trade for. And my guess is you'd have to have at least a third team involved to get Portland a superstar. So if Damian Lillard's to end up in Utah, who's got to go out? And I don't even know, because you're probably not going to trade Rudy Gobert. Again, you can't even trade him till October. You probably don't have a whole lot of value in return. You certainly, in my opinion, likely are not going to land Damian Lillard for Rudy Gobert, although there's a sucker born every day in an NBA front office. We all know that. I just don't, Jake, see how there is even a framework of a deal that ends up with Damian Lillard wearing a Jazz uniform.
No, and that's why I think it's one of those things where Jazz fans really want a staple, nameplate player to come to the Jazz to help Donovan Mitchell. And I just don't think that with where their cap is at and their lack of picks and frankly, no disrespect to the supporting cast of the Utah Jazz, but with the lack of value that you have to offer in return for a Dame trade, yeah, it just is not. There's not really a setup for it, and that's why I was on Twitter yesterday, kind of talking about the fact that the Jazz really don't have much that they can do this offseason in terms of getting a superstar. There was some conversation about the Jazz trying to make a run at Kawhi Leonard in free agency, and they're just not in a position to do that with their cap situation, with how far behind the eight ball they are with that. And they got to trade some guys. That's the number one priority right now. You've got to get this bogey contract off the books. In my opinion, you got to get the Jingles contract off the books, and you need to do that by trading them for some younger guys.
Well, in my opinion, I think there's only two guys on this roster you move. I think it's Boyan Bogdanovic because he's got value, and I think it's Royce O'Neal. I think if you upgrade those two spots with athleticism and legitimate threats to score the basketball, I feel like you're in a much better position. But truth being told, I just don't know that Damian Lillard values playing for the Utah Jazz. I think everybody assumes because Dame went to Weber State that, oh, well, of course he would play in Utah. And I don't know that that's the case. And the other question is, it's interesting. Brylark makes this point. Good morning, Brylark. Good to see you. He says, I'm so back and forth on Dame joining a super team or not. I think he wants a chip, but he just doesn't seem like the type of guy to join a super team. Who is the type of guy to join a super team? Because this stigma around joining a super team, I think, is ridiculous. Guys want to win, and guys want to play with other players who are on their level that make them better. Like knocking the Brooklyn Nets for having KD, Kyrie, and James Harden on their roster is foolish, in my opinion. Is Damian Lillard the guy that goes to Golden State and says, well, Golden State's got a bunch of guys, let me do the KD? I don't know about that. He's from Oakland. Why wouldn't he want to play in Golden State? In my opinion, I think Damian Lillard is going to go to the best place for him and his family that's going to win him a championship, that's going to cement his legacy, because I think that matters. And I think that's where Damian Lillard ends up. Is that Utah? Sure. I think if Damian Lillard was on this team this year, I think this Utah Jazz is playing for an NBA Western Conference championship right now.
Yeah.
But Dame wasn't, and so they're not. And in my opinion, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't know Damian Lillard, I've never talked to him about this, but all this banter back and forth on Twitter with Dame and the Jazz, I think it's just banter. I think it is what it is. I think Damian Lillard is going to give Portland one last best shot to win a ring for him and let him win a ring for them. And if they don't, I think he's going to be out. And I think he did the exact right thing. If the reports are true, and Clutch Sports had this, ESPN had this, that Dame was unhappy and he went to the front office and said, we need major change now. That's why Terry Stotts was fired.
Yeah.
You can't be, in my opinion, as we've said about the Portland Trailblazers, you can't be the worst defensive team in the NBA by stat and think you're going to win a championship. And that's on the coach largely because they have the talent. Then again, you are playing Robert Covington left and right, and he doesn't give you much offensively, including I don't know that he can dunk anymore.
Yeah.
Like that was maybe the penultimate moment of, are you serious?
Yeah.
For the Blazers when Covington missed that dunk. But I have no problem with the way Dame's conducted himself, and I would love to see him, paired with another superstar.
Yeah, and I think for him, he deserves it. He's worked hard. He's been a really loyal guy, and I just think that, whether he chooses to be, a Laker, a Jazz man, a Sun, like whatever, wherever he winds up, I think that he, deserves at least a shot to play for a title. And furthermore, I would say that I think what's happened in Phoenix has kind of given Jazz fans some encouragement that could happen for them. And we'll see. But like I said, I mean, headed into this offseason, you guys got to have the proper expectations about what's realistic for, the moves the Jazz can make because nothing of real consequence can be acquired until they move those contracts off the books. And then next year is really, and I said this on Twitter, next year is really where you're going to go, superstar hunting. If you play another season, let's say that you get to the Western Conference Finals, you take another step forward, but you don't make it to the finals, and then you go and acquire a superstar because you have the cap space now. Then I feel like you're a complete team. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting. Cody Strickland has two questions for us.
Yeah.
Number one, what's your go-to breakfast spot? Well, if the state of Utah, and really it is just the county of Salt Lake at this point, if the county of Salt Lake would come into the modern era and open a Jack in the Box somewhere, that's my go-to breakfast spot.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to? Well, I mean, a brass tacks, I mean, OPH probably, in Sandy, right off 114th and I think it's State. Original Pancake House. I love that place.
Yeah.
If I'm looking to go fast, I'm going to stop by Warren's and get their French fries because Warren's has the best crinkle cut French fries in the Valley.
Strong game.
Strong game. And then, I really don't know. There's not I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's not a great breakfast spot. I mean, there's some, like, you can get breakfast burritos.
There's not a clear-cut winner. Let's put it that way. There's a bunch of places.
And as an old guy, who likes to work on his crapper game, I'm an oatmeal high fiber
Bro.
cereal guy.
I'm sorry. Wait.
What?
Did
What?
you just
What
say,
happened?
as an old man who likes to work on his crapper game?
I believe I did.
What?
I believe that's exactly what I said, Jay.
Empty.
The opposite of full, where my balls are every day about 3 o'clock after I eat oatmeal.
Wow.
But the point is, there's nothing better to me for breakfast than Killer Dave's seeded bread. Like, I can't remember the name of the exact, but it's like Killer Seeds or something.
Right.
With peanut butter and, whole, no additive raspberry jelly jam. Oh, forget about it. Peanut butter with a little Utah honey on it. Oh.
Bomb, dude.
Oh.
Bomb.com.
Forget about it. And then Cody Strickland completely loses all credibility by saying Rudy will get great value. Well, you can just stop right there and say,
Cody.
you're not getting $205 million in value. And draft pick for one team for the Trailblazers for their rebuild mode with George Niang. Well, let me see. I'm going to give up Damian Lillard. Maybe I could get a one in some guy that they call the Caravan.
Okay.
Or the Nissan Quest. He's more of a
Caravan?
Nissan Quest. He's more of a Nissan Quest. Let's be honest.
Oh.
You really think the Portland Trailblazers would take a first-round pick and some dude named George Niang who went to Iowa State is unathletic? Although I'm sure he's got a lot of junk in the trunk for a reason. He is a minivan.
Your mom are hillbillies.
Like, did you think about that? No, you must be hungry. You're hangry.
That's why you're asking about the
You're
breakfast
hangry.
spots.
You're asking
I
about
got
breakfast. You're hangry. That's why you have ridiculous breakfast takes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He also says the Trailblazers rebuild mode with Niang. Sure, right. Sign and trade Conley
Here
and
we
Bogey.
go.
Sign
They
and trade
can't.
Conley and Bogey for Lillard. Like, okay, number one, you're going to understand. I think Damian Lillard, I'll look it up. I think Damian Lillard's making $41 million a year.
Another Gobert contract on your books.
Right? Well, not even that. I look at Damian Lillard's contract. I think Damian Lillard's worth every penny of whatever anybody wants to pay him.
He is.
Okay, I have no problem with it. What is Damian Lillard making? Hello? The internet is creeping. Oh no, I lied. I actually lied. I'm a terrible liar. He made $31 million last year. Mm-hmm. This year, he'll make 41, 42, 45, and $48 million. So let's do some quick math here. Okay, somebody's going to have to pay Damian Lillard that money, right? Okay, it's the Utah Jazz. All right, so we're going to trade Rudy's contract. We're going to trade Bogdanovic. That's $68 million or $58 million. And Mike Conley, who at that point would probably have to get $22 million. How are you going to match those salaries up? You're trading $90 million in contracts?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Hello? Come on, man. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Come on.
Like, this is the price you pay
Come
for
on, man.
overpaying guys.
Come on. Hello? Like,
Yeah, man.
I don't think you have the pieces to do that.
No.
Like, are you serious? Cody Strickland says Niang, Bogey, and Conley and picks. You don't have picks.
What picks?
Picks from another team, he says. I think $48 million. Bro, you can't. And by the way, here's the other thing. If you trade 4 guys off your roster,
Yeah.
you bring in one, and that one guy's making $40 million. How are you going to fill out the rest of the roster? Because you would be in the same situation. The problem is that you're hard capped. You're paying the luxury. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. I know you were. He says he's talking about a 3-way trade.
Yeah, the problem is that
the numbers and the man body humans have to work.
Dude, even if a third team provided the picks, the problem is that you can't trade 4 guys for one guy and think that's gonna get approved or work out. I mean,
that'd be really difficult.
Like and this again, and I want to be really clear. Like, we're not trying to be negative about their opportunity to trade somebody. Like, their opportunity to trade somebody right now is, I would say, with just one other team, which is to say, hey, X team, here's Bogdanovic and maybe Matt Thomas.
Who's the worst team in the NBA?
The Orlando Magic.
And by the way, Portland and Utah are in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. So you can't tell. Like, okay, you want to use Orlando.
Yeah.
As a third team.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just Orlando is $2 million under the cap. They have $20 million in cap space. The Jazz are paying $1.2 million in tax. Oh, they're over the tax line. So dollar for dollar, I think they're $40 million. Cap room's over the cap, $26 million. Yeah, and the Blazers are pretty much in the same spot. So I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to trade Damian Lillard to the...
And he's on the ESPN trade machine.
Yeah, I'm on the ESPN trade machine. Damian Lillard goes to the Utah Jazz, who trade you... Oh, wait, I can't. Because you can't trade Rudy Gobert yet. Well, let's just do a three-teamer with Mike Conley. Okay, trade Mike Conley to Orlando. Is that what we're going to... Okay, Bogdanovic to Portland. George Niang to Portland.
And then where's Luka's mom going?
Yeah, no kidding. The fucking you don't even I don't even like okay, who do they have? It would have to be Otto Porter would have to be in the trade. He'd have to go to they're saying he'd have to go to Utah. My God. And then let's just throw in what salary works. Mo Bamba, $6 million. Okay. This trade failed. The Jazz used non-tax mid-level exception or non-tax payer exception to sign a free agent, and therefore their owed tax cannot exceed $6 million. Damian Lillard's contract puts this trade in void. You must cut $7.165 million from the Jazz to make this trade work. Okay.
That's out of the window.
Okay, so why don't we yeah, that's not happening. Why don't we say, okay, we'll remove let's try Otto Porter. Let's try Otto Porter to the This is ridiculous that we're even doing this. Let's try Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that's going to make the money work. To Portland, and let's see if this trade will work. And no, this trade will not work. Like it's almost impossible because the Jazz, and the Blazers are over. Like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't. This isn't monopoly.
There's
money,
no
dude.
way. It's
so
hard.
Structurally, it doesn't work.
It's so difficult.
And that's why I'm saying the question really the question shouldn't be, hey, can they go and get Dame? The question should be, hey, what, or rather, how far are we willing to step back to correct the cap situation?
Ace is like, do Jazz fans know how trades work? I honestly, Cody Strickland's one of our best listeners. Cody, I would say, I'm not even shining you, Cody. I would say that you are a pretty solid NBA guy. I think the problem is Jazz fans are wishful and hopeful, and it just doesn't work that way. Damian Lillard's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
A year from now, this trade's a heck of a lot more pliable and doable for the Jazz because of all their contract situations. Pay attention to, do you extend Boyan? Do you extend Joe Ingles? Because those guys, I think, are eligible for extensions in October.
They are.
So I'd really pay attention to those moves.
Bojan.
And by the way, still haven't made a front office move yet. We'll see what happens. Sakshay Jazz says Ben Simmons for Boyan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles straight up.
Bojan.
Well, you could do that, but again, why do you want Ben Simmons on the Jazz?
Well, because, man, he's healthier and he's actually going to be on the floor, but he's going to make, $100 million this year. So, Ryan can just take some money out of the trust fund.
Wait. Yeah. He sold a company and stuff.
Yeah.
So, just go in your pocket, Ryan. Here's my question. Ben Simmons for Boyan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles. So how much three-point shooting are you giving up to get a guy who can't shoot at all, and all he does is play defense? Like, that's a negative.
Hold on,
And
wait.
I'm going to guess
hang
Shea
on.
was kidding about that.
Hang on. Don't they have a guy like that who can't shoot a basketball, doesn't really do anything offensively, and plays really good defense?
No,
That
because
sounds familiar.
no. Are you thinking Rudy Gobert?
Yeah.
No, Rudy's not athletic like Ben Simmons is. Stop it. Stop it. Giggity says, gotta love all these fantasy basketball GMs on here today. Brylark agrees with me. Gross. Keep Simmons so far away from Utah. Ben can't shoot free throws, can't shoot threes.
He
Liability
can't shoot a ball.
I mean, he can't. They Shaq a Simmons like all the time because he can't shoot free throws. I'm just, you guys, woosah. Just put the bit in your mouth.
I think I need to be paid more for having to talk basketball with you.
Exactly. And watch Mike Conley walk away for $18 to $20 million to somebody else. Right? Just Mike Conley, let him go. Trade Boyan Bogdanovic. Trade Royce O'Neal. Make those deals happen. Add other pieces that are athletic. Somebody call Austin Rivers. And let's move on with our lives. Because a year from now, this is going to be a different conversation.
Jazz fans don't want to wait a year.
Well, then you should have fired Dennis Lindsey last year. And this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. You should have sold Gale. It's Gale's fault. Gale should have sold the team a year earlier. Then somebody would have fired Dennis Lindsey a year before. Right? It just is what it is at this point. Okay. So, no, Damian Lillard's not coming to the Utah Jazz. I actually don't think the Blazers are going to trade Damian this year. I think a year from now that could happen. I could see them. They're going to have to improve that roster. I could see them moving C.J. McCallum.
Yeah.
Now, that would be a very Jazz trade.
Yeah.
That'd be a very Dennis Lindsey trade.
Jazz could work with that.
Well, we had to make the tough decision to let to let Mike Conley go because he's always injured. So we wanted to go out into the market and find a player that we felt was on Mike's caliber. And who's always injured so that we always have that player we can't count on and the built-in excuse when we get that ass whooped in the playoffs. So CJ, we brought him in and he got hurt and he didn't play and it's his fault he got hurt. That's actually a live look forward. We have a time machine.
Yeah.
That was a direct quote from the post-game press conference. Anyway, now I'm being a jerk. The point is, C.J. McCallum doesn't work in Utah. Ben Simmons doesn't work in Utah. I don't know who works in Utah. You're going to have to find somebody that's willing to take Boyan Bogdanovic and Royce O'Neal because those are the two guys that have value. Joe Ingles, I'm telling you, is a glue guy. He's incredibly important to this roster. I think you keep him. I do not think you extend him. I think you wait and play this season out him and see how things work. Excuse my cough. You wait and see how this thing works.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I just don't see that you're gonna change this roster a whole lot.
Listen, you forced contracts, which is what puts you in this situation. So continuing to force what you want is not going to get you out of this situation. You have to make pragmatic decisions. You have to make good deals. You have to start considering future self so that you can go and build a true championship contender. Because having thought about this team, if we really get down to it, I'm not going to call them a gimmick, but they just were never really a championship quality team. They were potentially Western Conference Finals good.
Well, I don't think you're insulting the Jazz by saying they were a gimmick. Their gimmick is shooting the three ball really well.
Yeah.
The problem is that's all they did really well offensively, and their ball movement was inconsistent. Yada yada yada. My point is, you're not going to change a whole lot about this team. And it is interesting, there's a lot of people like Brylark who, again, look, man, this is a terrible idea, Brylark. And I think you're a really good basketball guy, too. Again, one of the guys I like talking basketball with. But Brylark says, do you think Chris Paul has any interest in coming to Utah to play with Don? What is my favorite line about Chris Paul?
Water's wet and Chris Paul's hurt in the postseason.
Water's wet and Chris Paul's hurt in the postseason. I'm not signing an older, injured point guard.
Wait, don't.
We have that already.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't we have
the
a guy
Jazz
like that
have
already?
that already.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not doing that. I'm telling you, you be patient. Wait. Control. Like the pre-draft workouts in Chicago next week, all the meetings that will happen. Wait.
Work the roster.
Relax. We're coming.
Yes.
Fire Dennis Lindsay. Sweep the front office out. Think of Dennis Lindsay in the Jazz front office as a garage that just needs a junk hauler to show up, right? Like he backs up his janky-ass 86 Ford pickup with a big-ass trailer on the back, and you're just going to take Dennis Lindsay's championship trophies. Oh, wait, he doesn't have any.
Are we clear on that?
You're going to take Dennis Lindsay's failed draft picks and just throw them right into the dumpster.
He does have a lot of those.
Right? You're going to take all the trash, the Mike Conley injury trade, you're going to throw that in the dumpster. The reliance on guys who, frankly, gave you very little. No, I'm not. Anyway, take the Ennis, take the Gordon Hayward.
Dante Exum, Trey Lyles,
the only thing you're going to leave in Dennis Lindsay's office is the bat phone to the Denver Nuggets. That's the only thing you're going to leave here so that you can continue to get fresh talent from the Nuggets, right?
Yes.
Other than that, you're just going to take everything in the back of the Dennis Lindsay garage, throw it into the dumpster, and let that pickup truck drive away. And you're never going to look back. And then you're going to hire Danny Ainge, and he's going to come in, and he's probably going to hang like shamrocks everywhere and stuff, and a BYU logo and a picture of him in a BYU uniform. And then he's just going to start reconstructing the roster, right? And you're going to be average next year. And then Danny's just going to do what Danny does, right? He's got a pot, and he's putting ingredients in, and all of a sudden, Damian Lillard gets poured in next year, and now you have a soup that turns into a stew that turns into a feast. I think that's what you do. I'm not letting Dennis Lindsay buy the ingredients for my next soup. I'm not doing it. I don't know why I'm talking in metaphors. Fire Dennis Lindsay and move on with your life. Do what the Lakers did. Completely remake your roster. This Jazz team needs a dramatic change in direction.
Yeah.
This Jazz team needs Steve Ballmer. Oh, wait, they have a tech giant in Ryan Smith. So what did Steve Ballmer do? All right, Doc Rivers, get the f*** out, right?
Seriously.
That's what this Jazz team needs to do. They need a dramatic change in the front office, a change in trajectory, get more aggressive, remake your roster, and then let's start talking about winning a championship. Get somebody who can legitimately play next to Donovan Mitchell so he plays here for a decade. Get somebody who can actually give you a two-way big that runs the floor, who can play behind Rudy Gobert, because you're locked into Rudy Gobert until, like,
forever.
2039.
This is a code 10 abort.
Like, build depth, quality depth, veteran depth, learn how to play with the draft, and move on with your life. All right.
Man, wow. This has been just such a great conversation this morning. I mean,
I know. Michael Burton says there is no really good available free agents coming up this round. Oh, but a year from now, there's quite a few, right? And what happens a year from now? Danny Ainge will have a lot of cap space to sign free agents for the Jazz. I love you. Jordan Crabtree says Chris Paul wants to get paid. Hey, Cliff and Chris are doing well with Allstate. Brylark says can't play without two shooting guards. Well, you've got one, and you just need to upgrade Mike Conley at the point a year from now. And until then, Austin Rivers will do fine. Sakshay Jazz says CJ McCallum for Boyan and Favors. Trade is successful. Why do you want CJ McCallum? So just ask yourself this. What is the difference between CJ McCallum and most of the guys on this roster? Well, CJ's an elite mid-range player who can shoot the three when he's healthy. Have you looked at his game log? Do you realize, and I will look it up right now because I'm a nice guy, CJ McCallum, like I'm telling you, man, I'm in a position where it's so frustrating that where's the A drop? I need to get paid more money to talk basketball with you people.
I think I need to be paid more for having to talk basketball with you.
You know what I'm saying? Here's how many times CJ McCallum's played 82 games. Never. Let's see. 2014, 38. 2015, 62. Okay. 2016, 80. 2017, 80. 2018, 81, 70, 70, and 47. So we're going in the wrong direction, right? And he's a wonderful player. He's giving you 20 points a game, shoots the three at 40% on his career, 48% from the floor.
I'd rather have CJ than Mike.
Well, of course. I like blondes over brunettes. The problem is,
Yeah, I get it.
at the end of the day, you're the same player. If you can't play 47 of 72 games.
Yeah, we've seen that.
He lets Dame down on a regular basis. And by the way, and I'll look at his playoff numbers.
Playoff C.
He does not, CJ McCallum does not strike me as a guy that I'm like, man, I got to have that guy on my, man, whew. Although his numbers aren't terrible in the playoffs. Looking at his numbers like this year, 20 points a game, 4.3 assists. That's not bad, but they lost 4-2 to Denver.
There's a reason they're not being successful, okay?
Yeah.
And I can tell you it's not Damian Lillard. So at the end of the day, like, yes, sure, that trade's successful, but the other thing you got to talk about is, okay, cool, let's say you trade those guys. Now where are you going to you're just going to go and sign a couple of random players in free agency to fill out your roster? Like, that's not what you want to do either. So you're going to have to figure that out too.
Yeah, me too. Mr. E says, what's your thoughts on Jeremy Grant for the Jazz? Well, that's the kind of player you need.
That would be the ideal fit for this team.
Yeah, he is the kind of center that you need. He can run the floor. He can shoot the ball. He wears Jordans. Like, it's everything you want in a basketball player. Phoebo the Man, good morning, says, I don't understand that a player over 7 feet tall ends up with Beverly on post and he doesn't get the ball because it's probably a turnover and you are paying that guy $200 million.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no comment needed on that
you.
one. Cody Strickland says Exum was for Clarkson, biggest trade steal of last year, and Lyles for Donovan was a steal in 2017. Okay, but what if you had nope.
Why?
Nope.
Why?
No, Cody.
Do we continue to try to justify the absolute, just crap job that this general manager has done?
Do you really want to keep drafting bad talent and have to turn them into?
Do we need to have the draft conversation again?
No.
Do we need to have that conversation
but
again?
I'm not. I mean, the bottom line is if your claim to fame as a general manager is I draft really poorly, but holy cow, I fleece other general managers with those crappy draft picks.
If you felt these balls,
that's probably not the greatest claim to fame. When you're talking about passing on Devin Booker for Trey Lyles. I mean, no, I'm not doing that. Anyway, let's talk about Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we're 40 minutes into ripping Dennis Lindsey, which I always enjoy.
Yeah, clearly.
Apparently. He's a good man. He's just not a great basketball general manager, in my opinion. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I hate First Take. I think it's a dreadful show.
Mm-hmm.
And I really dislike Max Kellerman on anything but boxing. And this is where the Stephen A. drop comes from. I need to get paid more money. Because he did what typical emotional NBA fan did. Max Kellerman said that Trae Young is better than Steph Curry. And I just don't understand this thing with Trae Young. And maybe I'm getting this completely wrong. Why is it that every year there's this guy, Trae Young gets hot and is having a great playoff run. Oh, he's the best point guard in the league. I mean, he's the best shooter I've ever seen. Oh, my God. We do this every year. And what have I heard? Well, Trae Young's better than Steph Curry. Okay. I mean like Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors. Because there must be another Steph Curry. Oh, he's better than Kyrie Irving. What is the thing that I don't understand is, why do we knee jerk? Well, Steph chokes in the playoffs. Well, he's got multiple rings, so if he chokes, I want to choke the way he chokes because he's got multiple rings. Right? Kyrie Irving won the Cleveland Cavaliers a championship ring with a three-point shot. Now, is he a complete douche? Yes. Is he always hurt? Apparently. Does he convert religions in the middle of the season and then fasts and then essentially kills the Brooklyn Nets' chance at getting getting to a championship? A little bit. Does that mean Trae Young is better than Kyrie Irving? No. Trae Young does not have the handles that Kyrie has. do you understand how good Kyrie Irving is? Like, so let me ask you this. Rate for me, in your opinion.
Yeah.
Because you are absolutely the guy who slurps at the feet of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Is Trae Young better than Steph Curry?
No. I think you're exactly right. You're spot on with this. This is the classic knee-jerk reaction, right? Like, so Steph didn't have the team to make a deep, postseason run this year, and so he's at home with the wife, and kids and hanging out and everything. So Max is using that against him, and Max is saying, oh, well, Trae is shimmy. Everybody, this whole shimmy thing is ridiculous to me. Trae Young loves to talk junk and shimmy and show you up. He loves to do that, as does in every sport, whether it's Fernando Tatis Jr. or Trae Young or whoever. We are seeing it all the time now. Trae Young is not even in Stephen Curry's atmosphere. Trae Young is not even in the same conversation as Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is what I believe a 4-time champ, 3-time champ, whatever it is now, an MVP. A guy who has broken every record from 3. By the way, if Trae Young is so much better than Stephen Curry, why is it that Trae Young is chasing all Stephen Curry's records now? That's right, because Stephen Curry's been here and done that already. Stephen Curry's already, been through the, hey, I've never won a championship phase, and now I got to carry my team phase. He's done that already. So that's why I just think this is such a ridiculous take. Like, it is just, it's not even close. So for me, of the 3 of them, to me, it's Steph, then it's Kyrie, and then it's Trae Young. And I feel like when Kyrie's healthy, it's very much a 1A, 1B conversation between Steph and Kyrie, just depending on the game, who happens to have a better night.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Steph, he's a 3-time champion. He's a 2-time NBA most valuable player, 4-time NBA, all-NBA first team.
You're talking about a 2-time MVP at the point guard position.
You are talking about arguably Steph Curry is the best point guard ever.
Yeah.
He is clearly the best shooter ever. Can we relax on Trae Young? How about this? How about until he wins a ring, we don't compare him to Steph and Kyrie, right? You may not like Kyrie off the floor. I don't love a guy that doesn't wear a mask, breaks COVID protocol to go to the club, and then gets suspended by the NBA. Yeah, I don't love that about Kyrie. Now, when he was healthy, the Nets were going to win the NBA championship. When he got hurt, they lost to the Bucks, and Kevin Durant did it on his own because Kev couldn't keep his monstrous feet off the line. My point is, Kyrie Irving is a vital player to every team, for better and for worse. I think Trae Young's got a long way to go. I don't even think he's close to one of the elite players in the NBA right now. If you talk about, he's not on KD's level.
No.
He's not on Steph, Kyrie. I'm even thinking point guards. He's got it. He's probably.
Is he on?
He's no Mike Conley. Because mainly Trae plays all the games. But anyway, my point is, sorry.
Would you say he's on Don's level?
Trae and Don are very equal.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I think.
What about Dame?
No, I'm taking Damian Lillard over Trae
Well,
Young.
for sure. But I'm obviously, yes. But what I'm saying is, are they even in the same conversation?
No, I think Dame's on a different level.
Yeah.
I think Dame's minted. That's just it. All Dame needs is a ring, and it's the most difficult part of your legacy to add, which is why you can't hang out with Terry Stotts in Portland.
Yeah.
I think Trae Young's in the Hall of Very Good. He's got to show me something elite for years at a time.
Trae Young is in the Hall of I've played 2 seasons, bro. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
He hasn't. Yes. Yes. Is he fun to watch? Yes. Did I love the off the backboard alley-oop to Collins? Yes. That was incredibly fun to watch.
But I also didn't love Bobby Portis letting him stand at the three-point stripe. Shimmy, shimmy.
I love that nobody's brought up the James Harden shimmy. Why has nobody brought up the James Harden shimmy?
Yeah.
When I can't remember who he dropped, but we all remember when he was a Rocket. That's a one-on-one, you broke him off. The Drew Holiday crossover, that's Drew just playing the pick and roll one way and then not getting any help. So I don't know, man. I don't. This is exactly why guys like Max Kellerman have these takes, so that folks like us will talk about them and they can stay relevant. Because without these kind of takes, frankly, with all due respect, you're just not very relevant. That's just what it is.
I see you have it teed up. Do you want to play it?
Sure, I guess.
Max
Yeah.
Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith on ESPN's First Take.
How many Western Conference Finals? Steph Curry, what is he, 32, 33 now?
music cues
How
up.
many Western Conference Finals he's played in? 5. You know how many Western Conference Finals games he's played in? 27, by my count. How many times he scored 48 points in a conference final? 0. How many conference finals games Trae Young has played in? Like, as soon as he gets there, the first time he gets there, game 1, does something Steph's never done in his entire career. Because
What does
he's
that have to do with
fearless under pressure.
Oh, my
Steph
God.
is careless under pressure.
This
you
is
can
the part
ju-
that I
yeah.
just can't get with. Like you're sitting here saying that Trae Young is better than Steph because he had one nice game. Like, by the way, let's not forget about the fact that the reason Steph isn't putting up 48 in his postseason games is because he doesn't have to. That's not how they win games. By the way, this season, I'm pretty sure that he had multiple 40-point games in the postseason. So I don't know, man. That's why I say, like, that's why I never watch First Take. That's why I don't watch Undisputed. That's why I don't watch these shock jock shows.
Okay, First Take is better than Undisputed.
Well,
It's
yeah,
awful.
sure, but what I'm saying is
Awful.
what really separates them? What really separates them outside of the fact that ESPN has a better product? Outside of that, what are they really doing on these two shows? They're simply saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
here's Shock Jock Take, and let's light the news cycle on fire for a minute." That's what they're doing, and I respect it. Like, I get it. That's your job. But I'm not going to sit here and agree with this kind of a take. It's baseless.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where this was purely done for post-show clips, social media.
Yeah.
That's what this was about. That's what this was about. So, you know what? It is. I like Trae
said-
Young. I have a lot of respect for Trae Young.
Yeah.
It has been fun. There is no doubt it has been fun to watch Trae Young go through these playoffs. It was more enjoyable to watch Steph Curry do what he did this year, to watch Dame do what he did this year, to watch Don do until the ankle injury and then come back and 45 for 45. And this is my point about Trae Young.
Yeah.
Hey, look, 45 for 45 was really cool for Don. It got them nowhere. It was bad for the team. And it's largely the same thing. Now, when he gets John Collins involved and, Clint Capella's getting the ball and everybody's touching the basketball and Herter and all these guys are and when, frankly, I don't know if they can win a championship without Bogdanovic being healthy, but Trae Young's a hell of a player to watch. I have nothing negative to say about
And
Trae
he
Young.
will be.
Nothing.
Listen, I think he will be a champion at some point. I do. I think potentially in the next 5 years for him, he could potentially compete for an MVP because in the next 5 years, you would think that LeBron's going to be out of the league. Kevin Durant's going to be aging out of the league. Steph's going to be aging out of the league, So you have this era of player who is moving out of the league in the next 5 to 6 seasons, and that's when Trae will step into the truly, MVP, best player in the league conversations. But that's not now. That is not now. Stephen Curry and Kyrie Irving have plenty of basketball to play, and I'm taking Steph Curry over Trae Young all day, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it is. It'll be really interesting to see exactly how that plays out.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Let's see. Jeremy Bolton says, "Morning, gents. Oops, I'm late." Yeah. Well, I hope you slept well because we didn't. Sakshay Jazz, bro, what are you doing? Sakshay says Aaron Gordon for Boyan Bogdanovic. Well, I'll just stop right there because I'm not trading anybody to the Denver Nuggets.
It's dumb.
Why would you
dumb.
make the Nuggets better? No, I'm not doing that. That's not. No. He also says Cavaliers are exploring trade options for Colin Sexton. Should the Jazz be interested? I mean, is he a third or fourth year player?
He fit into the culture.
Yeah, I mean, but he's also a guy that's missed some games. I don't know what his contract number is. I can look, but I want to say he's making $6-7 million a year. Load. There you go. 4-year, $20 million deal. So he's got next year he'll make $6.34 million. It's a reasonable number. He's a
That's
young
the
guy.
kind of number you need, though. That's the kind of trade you gotta go for.
I want to say he's a decent 3-point shooter, decent enough.
He's a great defender, very athletic, decent 3-point shooter, much more of a mid-range player.
39% from 3, 48% from the. I mean, he's all right. I mean, he wouldn't score in that volume here. I mean, and I think the question is he a point guard or a shooting guard?
Point guard.
He'd have to be a point guard here. Yeah, I mean, he'd have to be. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but why if that always worries me about teams. Like why
What?
Colin Sexton is a young guy that they drafted him high if memory serves.
Yeah.
Why are you looking to trade Colin Sexton?
I don't-
Is there an issue with Colin Sexton? Like I mean,
At some point, you're gonna have to take a flyer on somebody, man. You're gonna have to do something.
yeah, I'm all in on letting Mike Conley go. I am. Yeah, he was the first round 8th pick in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, there's going to be some risk involved with the trades that you have to make to correct the cap. I mean, it's just what it is.